to JMath.
In this video, we're going to focus on sketching trig functions. So your teacher wants you to sketch it the proper way. So you need to know what the mother graphs look like, the normals, and then what A, B, P, and Q affects if it changes. Please watch the previous video. I explained everything there. But if you do not know them really well, you are going to get caught out. So the way to bypass that is to use your calculator's table method, and you can follow the steps you see on screen. But like I say, if you want to impress your teacher, you do it without the calculator. If you want full marks, with not too much effort, you use the table method. So you would on your calculator type mode table, and fx you type in the function. To get the x on your calculator, you just press alpha and the right bracket. Now the question will always tell you where to start and where to end, so you can just type that in. And now a step, that's the really tricky part. So you can, as a rule, remember sine and cos is always connected to 90 degrees. So if there's no b value, my step is just 90. But if there is a b value, so with that I mean anything that is directly in front of x, then I would say 90 divided by that b value is my step. With tan, everything's connected to 45 degrees, so my step would be 45 divided by b. Now this will work 90% of the time, but we are going to look at a few questions now, and especially the ones at the end, the step is a bit tricky. So then I'll just give you a note on that when we get to that question. Let's start. Question 1, sketch the following function on the given axis. So I can see they give me space from minus 90 to 360, and the function I'm sketching is 3 cos theta minus 2. So if I don't want to use my calculator, I can just take the mother graph that I plotted for you in dotted lines, and I know any value in front of cos means I'm multiplying all the y values by 3, so it has a vertical stretch of 3, and then everything moves to down. So this one is really easy enough to just do like that. It's going to save you time, and it's easy to get full marks. But if you want to use the calculator, we are going to type in mode table, and then at fx, I'm going to do 3 cos alpha x, close the bracket, and then minus 2. Please remember to close the bracket, otherwise everything is going to look a bit off. I'm going to press equal. With gx, I'm not going to draw anything. Then my start is going to be what they give me, so minus 90. My end is going to be 360, and the step is just going to be 90 divided by the b value. The b value in this case is 1 because there's nothing in front of theta, and therefore step is just 90. So if you type that in, your calculator should show you these specific dots. So then you just plot them, and then you try to make the best curve that you can. Okay, so let's plot the dots. Minus 90 is minus 2, then 0 is 1, then I'm going back to minus 2, then it goes all the way down to minus 5, then back to minus 2, and then to positive 1. Now I can just connect them, and that is the graph they want. Perfect. That is 3 cos theta minus 2. So you're going to get marks for showing them the turning points, and then the middle of the graph. So everything on minus 2. So just be as neat as you can, but it doesn't need to be perfect. It's not an EGD subject. The next question, y is equal to minus tan 3x. So I can clearly see my graph is going to be flipped upside down because of that minus in front, and then my b value is 3. So that means everything is going to be squashed by 3. So if you look at the mother graph, my asymptotes are at 90 and 270. I'm going to divide that by 3 and do new dotted lines, and then all the other values is also going to be squashed by a factor of 3. You can do the mother graph method or just type it in the calculator. So if I go table method, I'm going to do mode table. At fx, I'm going to type in minus tan, and then it's going to open a bracket, 3x, close bracket. My gx is going to be empty. Start is going to be at 0. End is going to be at 180. Step is going to be 15 because it is 45 divided by my b value, which is 3. Then you would see all of these coordinates on your calculator. So every time it says error, I'm going to make a dotted line. Let's do that. Your graph should look something like that. So I have an asymptote at 30, 90, and 150, and the question asked me to stop at 180. So please just write one coordinate, the actual value, and then they're going to mark all your asymptotes. In this question, I need to draw two functions on the same set of axes. So I'm going to do just table method for each one. Now, even though the one is named gx, I would not type in both functions in the same table because your step is not always going to be the same. In this case, it is, but it's going to look very tricky if you do everything in one table. So please just separate them, and then you can ensure you don't get confused. So with the first one, I can just type it in exactly like that. My start's going to be at negative 180, end is going to be at 180, and in this case, my step is going to be 90 divided by 2, because the b value is at 2. So I'm just going to type in my step as 45. So let's just plot those points first, and then connect them. And now to draw the gx graph, I'm just going to restart my table. Like I said, it doesn't matter if there's a gx in front, just type it in the fx part of your calculator, and the start minus 180, end 180, and then the step in this case. So remember I said there's some trick questions. If I just make the step 90, I'm going to have a little problem. So I noticed that because there's a p-value, and p-value always messes with the step on the calculator. So in this case, I would also go for 45 as my step. So you can always do the 90 divided by b value, but if you feel unsure, just make it a little bit lower. And normally if they give you access to draw on, you'll see what they marked it in, and that can be your step. So my step is going to be 45 because it moved 45 degrees to the right. So if I plot these points, it would look like this. Okay, so there I drew both of them. So please just also indicate your minimums and maximums for your teacher. Even though this has many turning points, as long as I indicate one of each, so a maximum and a minimum, they can clearly see how high the graph went up and down. And then from that, it would be easier for you to answer questions. So let's just go over a few extra questions. If they ask me, what is the amplitude of F? I would be able to say, the graph is a bit tricky, but I can just look at the 3/2 that's in front of cos. That would be my amplitude. The amplitude for G would be a half. Remember, amplitude can never be negative. So just something I noticed that I did wrong. You must always just indicate a F and a G for your teacher so they can see which graph is which graph, and it also helps you to see which one. Okay, let's look at the period. So with the purple F function, my period was 180 degrees. So I can see that that is one full cycle, and therefore the period is 180 degrees. So the 2 there means in 360, it completes 2 cycles. With the orange function, this is just 360 degrees because my b value was just 1. It shifted a little bit, 45 to the right, but my period is still 360. If I now go for the range, so the range of f would be y as an element of -1 until 2. And I need to write it both in block brackets. So I would say y is an element of -1 till 2. With G, I would say y is an element of, and then I can see the lowest point is -1/2, and the highest point is +1/2, close block bracket. The final question here. So draw the sketch of 2 sine 2x minus 30. So you can try and just manipulate the mother graph and stretch things up and down and move it left and right. That's going to be really tricky with this question. So I would really suggest use the table method on the calculator just to make your life so much easier. At fx, I'm going to type in that equation just like it is written there. But now the -30 is in the bracket. So remember, if it was a q value, it would be outside the bracket. Just always check there to not make mistakes. Then my start would be at -75, end would be at 195, and then the step in this case. So once again, if I just follow the rule blindly, I'm going to say it's 90 divided by 2, which gives me 45. But I can see the graph is split into 15 degrees. So I would rather go for my step on 15 degrees. So what messes it up is because they tell you it must start at -75. So the moment they do that, they are trying to catch you out, the people who use the calculator. So just be a bit smarter and just make your step a little bit smaller. Now you can't make it 1 degree because then you're going to make 360 dots. Please don't try that ever. But see in what increments they broken up the x-axis, and then your step can be that. But like I said, this doesn't happen often, but you must just know to not get stuck in the exam. On my calculator, I can see these are the specific dots it gave me, so I'm just going to plot them and connect. There we go. That is how this graph looks when I plotted it. So you would notice that I skipped the 1.7 and the -1.7 on my calculator. I had enough dots and I could clearly see which ones were turning points, so I don't need to do all the horrible decimals on my sketch, only the ones that I need. Perfect, guys. I hope you now know how to sketch graphs and you will get your full marks here. In the next video, we're going to see when they give you the graph, how you can get the equation from that.
If this video helped you, please like and subscribe.
JMath.